Have you ever felt like your life is a frozen system running 1917 software while the world demands high performance? What if I told you that the secret to deleting procrastination and taking total control of your destiny was written by a man who toppled an empire using only paper, a pen, and iron discipline?
That's right. If you think you know what focus is, get ready for a reality check. We're going to show you how Vladimir Lenin's ruthless mindset can turn you into the leader you pretend to be on Instagram. Stay until the end because I'm going to give you the master key to hack your productivity and never be an extra in your own story again.
Daniel, let's get real. While Gen Z cries because the Wi-Fi dropped, our comrade Lenin was being exiled to Siberia and using that time to write books and plan how to delete the Russian monarchy from the map. That's what I call a mindset of someone who didn't come here to play. The guy had a discipline that bordered on psychopathy, or was it just a very well-adjusted focus for someone who wanted to reboot the system?
Exactly, Karen. The guy was the ultimate nightmare for procrastination. While you spend hours scrolling through your feed, Lenin treated his own mind like high-performance software. In exile, he wasn't making survival vlogs. He studied every loophole in capitalism to leverage his revolution. If he were an app today, he'd be the definitive distraction blocker. His resilience was fueled by a methodical hate and a purpose that wouldn't fit in an Instagram post.
It's the classic case of making lemonade and turning it into a nuclear power plant, right? His optimism wasn't that blessed hippie stuff. It was strategic optimism. It's all going wrong now, but I'll win in the end because I'm the most disciplined guy in the room. It's like Apple in the 90s. They were almost broke, but an obsessive focus on an ideal of transformation changed the world. If you want success, you need that laser focus.
Precisely. And for the folks watching who can't focus for 10 minutes on a book, I suggest Googling What Is to Be Done, the pamphlet Lenin wrote. It's not cheap self-help, it's a manual on how to be a human tractor. Or watch Sergei Eisenstein's movie October on YouTube. It's immersive and shows how the mindset of a single man can ignite a mass. It's about having a purpose that wakes you up before the alarm clock.
But let's stir the pot, Daniel. Did all that self-awareness serve a greater good, or was it just ego? Today we talk a lot about mental health, but Lenin seemed to ignore all that for the cause. To be an icon of transformation, do you need to sacrifice your sanity, or is the secret to progress exactly in being a bit of an outlier? You guys in the comments, do you think extreme focus justifies social isolation, or was Lenin just a toxic workaholic?
Karen, if there's one thing Lenin understood, it was selling an idea. The guy was a master of persuasion. He didn't come in asking for permission. He kicked down the door of people's perception. He turned simple slogans like peace, bread, and land into mass leverage that no social media algorithm today could replicate with such efficiency. That is high-impact communication, wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely, Daniel. He had that aggressive leadership, the kind that doesn't wait for the wind to blow in his favor. While other politicians were discussing theories in fancy cafes, Lenin was at the grassroots, practicing active listening, his way of course, to understand the people's pain and transform it into revolutionary proactivity. He was like Coca-Cola. You might not even like the content, but the branding and marketing are omnipresent and impossible to ignore.
Right, and his secret was strategic collaboration. He knew exactly where to place each piece on the board, like having Trotsky handle the Red Army while he articulated the narrative. If you want to lead today, you need that sharp negotiation. You can't be an icon of transformation by being a lone wolf. You need a team that buys into your madness. It's pure talent leveraging.
But let's talk about the elephant in the room, empathy, or the lack of it. Lenin used others' pain to drive his agenda. Is that leadership or master-level manipulation? For the folks wanting to climb the career ladder, does anything go when it's time for persuasion to achieve success? Watch the series Trotsky on Netflix to see this power dynamic up close, or read Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. But imagine Lenin reading it and laughing at the be gentle part.
Exactly. He didn't want to be loved, he wanted to be followed.
It's a reality check for this generation that wants to be an influencer based on likes. Lenin wanted results, not hearts. So what do you think? Does a true leader need to be cute to get engagement? Or is the Bolshevik tractor style what actually brings progress in companies nowadays? Debate below. Democratic leadership versus autocratic leadership. Who wins in the real world?
Daniel, let's talk about ethics. For Lenin, ethics seemed quite elastic, didn't it? If it helped the revolution, it was valid. He wasn't exactly the symbol of transparency, as he operated in the shadows until the moment of the strike. But look at this. For him, responsibility to the cause was absolute. He had a character armored by an ideology where justice wasn't what the court said, but what the people needed, or what he thought the people needed.
Right, Karen. Lenin was the master of utilitarian morals. He believed that the integrity of a revolutionary was measured by their ability to be ruthless. For him, social justice required dirty hands. It's a bizarre contrast with companies like Patagonia, which preaches total transparency and environmental ethics, while Lenin thought secrecy was the soul of the business. He didn't want to be a good guy, he wanted to be the example that transformation hurts.
And this pain raises a question. How far would you sacrifice your morals for the growth of your project? Lenin had no crisis of conscience. He took responsibility for the excesses because the purpose was greater. It's like that spy movie dilemma. Do you become the villain to save the world? To understand this complex mind, people should watch The Young Karl Marx. It helps to understand where this intellectual encouragement that shaped Lenin's personality came from.
Great recommendation, and if they want something more current on how flexible morality is in power, watch House of Cards. Lenin would give Frank Underwood a masterclass on how to maintain independence of thought without being bound by old moral dogmas. He created his own compass of justice. He believed he was enabling the oppressed to finally take what was theirs, whatever the cost.
Now let's set the debate on fire. Capitalism versus socialism. Lenin said capitalism was inherently unethical. Today, we live in a free market, but with people defending state intervention to correct social justice. What about you in the comments? Was Lenin right in saying that bourgeois ethics is a farce? Or did his system just trade one cruel master for a worse one? Who here prefers pure meritocracy, and who thinks the state should be the big daddy of social integrity? Daniel, the talk now is about what stays in the pocket and in history. Lenin wasn't looking for money or personal wealth. He was looking for the success of an idea. And look, the guy was productive. In a few years, he went from a canceled exile to the architect of a superpower. He didn't just want a temporary earning, he wanted a transformation that would last centuries. Now that's what I call a heavy legacy, right?
Super heavy, Karen. His productivity during the Russian Civil War was brutal. He implemented war communism, and then when he saw the economy was dragging, he had the proactivity to launch the NEP, New Economic Policy. It was a move like Netflix shifting from DVDs to streaming. He realized he needed a bit of capitalism, the market, to provide some encouragement and save the nation's progress. A true master of political leveraging.
But let's talk about sustainability. His system lasted, but at what cost? Lenin's historical recognition is polarized. For some, the hero of proletarian empowerment. For others, the villain who started an iron regime. In the world of finance today, he'd be that CEO who delivers quarterly growth but leaves the company culture toxic. The guy is an icon, but does his example serve as a warning or inspiration?
That's the million-ruble question. For those who want to see something practical about this result, I recommend the documentary The Russian Revolution on Netflix, or a virtual visit to Lenin's mausoleum. The guy literally became a monument to his own success. He proved that with focus and the right enabling of the masses, you change the world map. But his legacy teaches us that prosperity without freedom is a house of cards.
It's the famous plot twist of history. He wanted to free the people, but he laid the foundation for Stalin to come in and put everyone in line, in the worst way possible. So people into independence and personal development, is it worth focusing so much on the final result and forgetting how your legacy will be maintained? Lenin was a master of power multiplying, but was he a master of life? Comment below. Would you rather be a leader who delivers everything but is feared, or someone who builds something sustainable and loved?
Karen, the verdict is clear. Lenin didn't wait for the Tsar to have a good day to change Russia. He went there and reset the board. The moral of the story here isn't about politics, it's about enabling. What are you doing with your time? Are you the author of your victory or just a spectator of others' prosperity? History doesn't remember those who tried, but those who had the discipline to finish.
Exactly, Daniel. If you want to get out of inertia and have real growth, you need to stop procrastinating your own transformation. The empire you need to topple might just be your laziness. So, which of Lenin's traits are you installing in your system today? Let us know in the comments. If you could have his persistence for one personal project, what would it be? Oh, and tell us, which city are you watching from and on what device?
Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to keep receiving this intellectual encouragement that most people ignore. We want to know your age too to see the new generation of leaders we're awakening. And hey, if you want to materialize this inspiration, there's a link to buy Lego and other exclusive products in the first pinned comment. The next step toward your success starts now. Until the next revolution.